All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about something, that probably got me in a lot of trouble before. So, what are you doing it again for? This one here just kind of, I have to say something about this. For all of the people who think that 2020 and 2021 were just great and we did what we should have done to survive as a human race and so forth. I'm just going to address that. And of course, doing it in real time for a few real people just like you and like me. Um, Patreon, if you can sign up for that, that would be great to support the channel. Also, buy me a coffee and just liking and subscribing to the channel as I rebuild from the ground up. This will be my last attempt at this. Anyway, this story here really speaks to what was going on a few years ago. And I used to use terminology like the thing, right? So, fired Offspring drummer speaks out. Dexter and Noodles fired me over refusing to do the thing. And again, I'm employing, if you're new to me, I'm employing my old terminology, which I thought would help me, but I don't think it did. So ex-Offspring drummer Pete Parada sat down and did this podcast called Try That in a Small Town and recalled his exit from the band after refusing to do the you-know-what. Now, the drummer has had Guillain-Barré syndrome since he was younger. So this didn't cause the Guillain-Barré, just so we're clear. But his doctor, all right, and I'm doing a lot of condensing on this article. His doctor told him, hey, I don't think this is a good idea, Pete. And so Pete went to the band and said, hey, I don't think I should be doing this. He says, I have a medical exemption. And the guy who was in charge, I guess, of dictating who does what within this band chose to come at me, he says, like a flamethrower. He says, I've gotten crappy phone calls before, but this was the most abusive and threatening call I've ever had in my career. He says it wasn't a conversation. He's just trying to tell me that for the greater good, can you believe that people were using this terminology? Like, has anyone read George Orwell? I mean, it should be required reading. I don't care how old you are. You need to go read 1984. It's for the greater good. Everyone's got to do this. I'm just like, that's not a good enough reason for me. You're not making an argument. You're just making threats and yelling at me. He made it clear that I was either to get on board with this wonderful, super safe, and effective thing, or I'd be replaced. The phone call was so shocking, according to Pete. So I wrote the other two guys in the band. They were technically my boss. I laid out what happened in the phone call and how I didn't appreciate how it went down. Here's all the reasons why I don't want to do this and why I'm not able to do this. Again, his doctor said, hey, don't do this. You've got Guillain-Barré syndrome. Apparently, it didn't matter. According to Pete, he says, I tried to talk to them and said, you might fire me over this, but you really shouldn't. This guy is not representing you well, meaning the guy telling Pete that he had to get on board for the greater good. And if he's treating me like this, imagine how he's treating our crew. I don't think they really cared about how he was treating the crew. But anyway, when asked if it was a long phone call, the drummer continued, I tried when I brought that up I was told that that's not a concern right now. So it's kind of a weird answer to if it was a long phone call, but that's what's said next in this article. Um, he's not the concern, meaning the guy who's yelling at Pete is not the concern. Your refusal to do this is the concern. I don't know. I think there was some kind of mass hypnosis that went on. Yeah. I mean, that was a real theory during this time, and people were like, "Yeah, okay, Dave. Yeah, mass hypnosis. Sure." I don't know, it was weird. There was no level of discernment. There was like panic. And so the panic obscured any measure of critical thinking. That's how I see this. Pete goes on to say things deteriorated pretty rapidly after that, and less than a week later, I found that all communication had stopped. I had booked a flight and a hotel and stuff, and was supposed to start rehearsal about a week later. Pete says he checked his Southwest app, and that's how he found out he had been replaced because his flight had been canceled, he added. Wow. Imagine that. Huh, my flight was canceled. I was supposed to start rehearsal in a week. And so um, Pete Parada has been battling Guillain-Barré syndrome since childhood, and his doctor advised against doing this because of his condition. Pete had already had this and recovered easily, but he was concerned about another round of Guillain-Barré, which could be triggered by this thing, the thing that his doctor told him not to do. He says, given my personal medical history and the profile of this product, my doctor had advised me not to do it. I actually caught the actual thing a year before, and it was mild. So I'm pretty confident I'd be able to handle it again. But I'm not certain I'd be able to survive another round of Guillain-Barré, which dates back to my childhood and has evolved to be progressively worse over my lifetime. See, this is one of those instances, by the way, where you're listening, right? And this sounds like common sense. Like the doctor says, don't do this. You've got Guillain-Barré. The doctor obviously knew. He must have read or had the insert, which I guess was kind of hard to find. I don't know if the inserts are being included, but the inserts told you what this might do. And when you turn on the television, right, you're watching CSI, whichever version of it, and they run 3 or 4 commercials, and they tell you at the end of each commercial, while people are frolicking and walking around, and say it's for Ozempic or whatever product that they're trying to push on you, and they're telling you all of the different things that might happen to you if you take the product. They do that because of liability, and they are being a little bit honest with it. But I remember at the beginning, they were shipping this stuff out there, and it had no information accompanying the package. It was just like blank. There's some blank inserts. All right, well, we're just going to have to trust. Imagine trusting, and you've got a pre-existing issue. Your doctor says don't do it. The band isn't even listening. They're like, la, 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 la. I can't hear you, Peter. What did you say? Man, it was mass formation psychosis. That's the only thing I can think of. And I'm sitting here like screaming. Well, yeah, we're talking pretty loudly during those days saying, why are you guys willing to just run over the cliff? Why is this lemmings packed into shiny metal boxes and being pushed over a cliff? Why? Why did we do this? Anyway, he says here that this dates back to my childhood, and unfortunately for me and my family, who is hoping to keep me around a bit longer, the risks outweigh the benefits. They far outweigh the benefits. Since I am unable to comply with what is increasingly becoming an industry mandate, it has recently been decided that I am unsafe to be around in the studio and on tour. Oh my gosh. He's the guy who's unsafe to be around in the studio and on tour. Actually, he might be the safest person to be around. I mention this because you won't be seeing me at these upcoming shows, he continued. John Freese took his place, but he was also replaced by Brandon Pertzborn a year later. Freese was unable to perform with the band due to his commitments with the Foo Fighters after stepping in for the late Taylor Hawkins. Wow. And gee, obviously the whole Taylor Hawkins thing, that's another video or two on its own. So anyway, so there's the story. I remember when that happened, and I knew most of this stuff. I didn't realize that he had a pre-existing condition from childhood, and his doctor was really smart, but not too many people were very smart during that time period. I pushed back. Look, did I overpush? Probably. Did I look for things that were part of this that maybe weren't part of this? Yeah, guilty as charged. But you know what? I'd rather err on the side of caution. I would. I'd rather err on the side of caution. There's no evidence that this was a good thing. Zero. And I'll say that till the very end. I don't really care at this point. But self-censorship is a bummer here. We can hope that Elon continues to buy stuff. I hear he's looking to buy TikTok, which, again, I'm not there, but I might consider it if he buys it. Anyway, folks, to help this channel out, like I said, building from the ground up, had 82,000 subs on the other channel. I think I have like 2,400 over here, and I'm not upset about that. That's really good. People continue to find me and say, "Oh, I didn't know you were still around." Neither did I for a while. Neither did I. So I appreciate everybody who has found me. Now, make sure you subscribe and, again, like the videos. And if you can help support the channel financially, it would be much appreciated. Again, thanks for watching. God bless everyone. And, if you don't have to go to CVS, I would say, don't even bother. Don't go there.